Wednesday, the 13th of November. Let's get the show started. This is your Business Morning live on Channels Television, Nigeria's news leader. I am Bosin Omofai. Was in the news this morning, the President of Senate, Ahmed Lawan, is asking the Committee on Appropriations to present his report on Budget 2020 on November the 26th. Hopeful that the House of Reps will do the same, which will allow the final passage of Budget 2020 to happen on November the 28th. If that takes place, that will be the first time in recent years that Nigeria's New Year budget was concluded within the current year. Meantime, the Senate has told the executive branch to ban textiles imports for at least 5 years to enable the country ramp up on local production, while providing soft loans and easy access to credit to local producers, among other incentives. That's part of what the Senate committee spoke about yesterday, asking the government to extend the current ban on textiles, which is being pursued, led from the front by the central bank. So let's talk a little bit about lending into Nigeria's agri sector. Last week, we showed you the 2018 financial statement of Nigeria Agri Insurance Corporation, showing the corporation reported better numbers, positive numbers for 2018 against 2017. Yesterday, the Central Bank of Nigeria also reported that it's facilitated a total of 101 billion naira as loans to nearly 700 agri projects in Nigeria via the Nigerian Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, NARSAL. NARSAL was the agency created a few years ago by the central bank, and the chief executive, Abdul Hamid, says the guaranteed funding had helped to create 4,000 jobs across the agri value chain since 2013, when NARSAL was set up, with area yield index insurance products of NARSAL protecting nearly 6.5 billion naira of revenue of over 37,000 Nigerian farmers. Meantime, the much older Central Bank's Commercial Agricultural Credit Scheme, or AGCS, has disbursed 610.4 billion naira in loans for nearly 600 projects, according to a new report released by the regulator on Tuesday. The Central Bank's ACGS Fast Facts, these are some of the data that we have for you. Total advances since the ACGS was established was 610.4 billion. That's the headline figure. The total projects involved for that money was 593 across the country. Food crops leads the total disbursement. That's about 49% of the headline total, 595.5 billion naira. In the third quarter of this year, the total funds disbursed under the Agri Credit Guarantee Scheme was 1.21 billion. That's 41.7% better than the second quarter of this year, benefiting 9,752 Nigerian farmers. Since it was established, the ACGS has recorded a total repayment of loans in the region of 368 billion naira. Meantime, investment banking group Afrinvest says it's ready now to launch the 2019 edition of its annual Nigerian banking sector report. That will be next Monday here in Lagos. Nigeria's former central bank governor, Godwin Soludo, will be among top dignitaries attending that very important event, giving you an insight into Nigeria's banking sector and how to do business within the space in the new year. And this is coming through from FMDQ Securities Exchange, says he has separated Nigerian Treasury bills, or NTBs, and open market operations, OMO bills, on his e-bond trading and reporting systems. The closing prices of both treasuries, NTBs and OMO, have now also been separated for media reporting, effective yesterday, Tuesday, November the 12th, as the central bank bars individuals and local corporates from open market operations bills investing. And we'll show you how this really is in terms of the data that the FMDQ Securities Exchange sent to us. What you will see from today in our reporting of the FMDQ Securities Exchange daily market market is a separation of the NTBs from the open market operations. Let's start from the bottom. This is the bottom. This is the open market operations. These are treasury bills that the central bank issued as liquidity management instrument for the Nigerian banking sector. This is the open market operation treasury bills that the central bank has barred individuals and local companies within Nigeria from investing in. And you can see the yield curve at the middle, what you call the discount high, and you see the total amount traded. Yesterday, the first trading day of the week, 157 deals, 43.32 billion naira. These are the four most actively traded open market operations treasury bills that on Tuesday. Flip that over and go to the NTBs, which is the Nigerian treasury bills. Now, Nigerians will continue to, and everyone can invest in the NTBs. Now, look at the yield curve. Now you can see the discount high now sharply lower than that of the open market operations. Look at 8.75 discount high or yield on these treasury bills, NTB, maturing 30th of January next year. So if you look at this four most actively traded, but look at the action yesterday, you find 29.75 billion in total. But these are the four most actively traded Nigerian treasury bills. So this is NTB. That's Nigerian treasury bills, and that's how we will capture that from today moving forward. Thank you, guys. Now we'll go to the FGN bonds. So you have the three windows. The bonds are what you call the Naira bonds, and that's your regular bonds issued by the Debt Management Office. Four most actively traded on Tuesday, 11.69 billion naira. So let's leave it there. We'll get a bit more sense of that later on the show. But let's get Temple Ashaju to come in here and talk to us about the stock market. So you've seen what is going on at the treasury bill space. The stock market seems to find a new rhythm. Yesterday, this market started the week on a very strong, positive note that's taking its cue from last week. Temple Ashaju is there for us, our business correspondent from the Nigerian Stock Exchange, to take us through market numbers. Temple, right at the trading floor. Good morning. It looks like some smiles coming back into the stock market space. Perhaps this is all the interplay, or the playbook from the treasury bills market.
Correct, Bosin. I mean, we're seeing green across the numbers now in the markets and equity space. Of course, the reasons are no longer far-fetched, simply because we've seen investors now cherry-picking on instruments where they can make some gains. And equities market is one of those areas where these investments have been channeled. So, because again, you know it, the CBN has shut out some of these major investors, major traders, from the OMO windows. And as I said earlier, we now have the OMO and NTBs securities now separated on the Bloomberg terminal, where, all of these securities are also tradable. Of course, the trading platform which you have with the stock exchange now, with the FMDQ exchange, I should say, rather. But let's kick off with the equity side of the market. We're positive by some 54 basis points yesterday. We saw a rise to 26,456.39 points. And of course, the equity capitalization remains less than 13 trillion naira. Hopefully, that will increase going forward, because again, if you look at the year-to-date performance of the market, it has continued to moderate. Yesterday, it moderated lower from 16% down to 15.8%, and that tells you that things are really coming back here in the market. So the bullish performance extended all the way from Friday through to what we saw yesterday, Tuesday, skipping the Monday, which is a public holiday. We saw the jump in the industrial goods side of the market, and of course the banking side, given the gains we saw around CCNN, which is up and was on full beat yesterday. Again, UBA up by more than 6% yesterday. Access Bank and Nigerian breweries, which are key liquid stocks that you have in the market. But if you look at the activity level, things continue to face different directions. Even though the market continues to remain positive, the volume of transaction yesterday was lower at 12.52% compared to the previous trading session, while the value rose higher by more than 28%. If you look at the banking stocks and, of course, all the other sectors that we have in the markets, they all fell in the green territory. Banking segment was up by more than 1% in spite of the huge level of profit taking that we have from from investors in the markets yesterday. Consumer goods, in spite of the lackluster performance we've seen around that particular sector, it was also positive yesterday. We saw the Nigerian breweries contributing massively to that. Industrial goods, insurance, and of course oil and gas, all of them, made green close yesterday. And of course, we know that the market was positive in terms of market breadth. We had 18 gainers as opposed to 11 decline yesterday in the market. For the energy stocks, if you look through, there was basically no change in spite of some 2.1 million transactions that we saw on O and DO. So let's move on to the NASD OTC, where things remained unchanged yesterday. Investors continue to see themselves between the bears and the bulls on that side of the market. We see the NSI still maintaining the psychological position of 700, and of course the market capitalization at 500 plus. There were 5 deals yesterday. CSCS was responsible for 2 of those deals. WAMCO at 127 Naira plus was also responsible for 2 of those deals. And of course, the Niger Delta Exploration Production Company had just 1 deal. Moving on to the FMDQ OTC, where we had 24 deals on bonds only yesterday. Yes, that continues to be bullish, but investors are now getting weary of the plunging yields on that side of the market, and it looks like they are going to get stony face going forward because again, that is not too good enough for them. Yesterday they had attention fairly on the 2026 security and of course the 2036 securities, and of course, but the treasury bill side of the market and OMO side of things, which came in very new, we see foreign investors selling down their treasury bills and moving into the OMO side of the market, I should say, Bosun.
Yeah, Temple, I've got a question for you from one of our viewers who asked, does it mean we should hope for better NSC improvement? That's a question. One of our viewers on Twitter says, does it mean we should hope for better NSC improvement based on what we're seeing right now? So put your ears to the ground. We'll get back to you towards the end of the program if we have an answer of what the market traders and our dealers are saying about the new rhythm that we're seeing bumping to the upside for the Nigerian stock market. Thank you so much. Keep that in mind, Temple, later. Thank you. We appreciate that.